It's finally here, Adobe Photoshop. I'm very excited for this because this program has not been used in room 222 since 2019. So you might be thinking, this looks a lot like Illustrator. And it in fact does. It is made by the same company, after all, Adobe. But you can tell in the upper left corner that it is in fact Photoshop by its icon. Well, that's not the only difference, of course. But there are some similarities. For starters, on the left side of the screen, we still have a toolbar. Some of these are new, some of these are familiar, but they all have their uses in this program. Some of them look similar to things we've used in Illustrator, but are in fact different. So anyway, if we look over on the right, we still see a layers panel here, but layers work a little bit differently than they do in Illustrator. Now, for starters, we just have a background. Right, I'll put that picture back in. So now we have layer 1. I'll just go ahead and draw a shape here. Just an ordinary rectangle. And if you look over here, you notice that it created a new layer automatically. That's right, each time you draw something new, it automatically creates another layer. So that's important to know. Let me just go ahead and click this picture and drag it somewhere else. Oh, wait a second. Huh? That's right. You will always move or affect whatever layer you have selected. So I can't do anything to this picture unless I click it on the layers panel. So even though it appears that I'm not clicking on it directly, I actually am. Whatever layer is selected, that's the layer you're going to be working with. So that's a big difference. In Illustrator, we can keep drawing multiple things on the same layer, and it's all fine and dandy. I mean, it's fine and dandy here, but that's how it works. We create a new layer every time we draw something, and we can merge layers together. That's good to know. But when we first do this, they're going to be separate. So anyway, see what I just did? I merged the layers by selecting both and then doing that. So there are ways around that little thing. Let's take a look at these color boxes. It looks like just the fill and stroke, right? But actually it says set foreground color and then set background color. Well, this background color is not something we're really going to mess with in this class. I can't think of a single instance in which we're going to make use of it. Let's direct our attention to this box, the foreground color. Now, I have rectangle 2 selected, but I can't just change the color and have it applied just like that. I need to select what's called the paint bucket tool, right here. And then whatever color I have chosen will apply to that. And I choose red. I can apply the red to that. So that's a slight difference. Now, you may have noticed that I've been moving stuff around. I've been using this tool to do so, which is called the Move tool. I'll be going by this name. I'm going to go by the name of whatever it is in the program. So the Move tool is used to relocate a layer. Whether that layer is made up of a shape, multiple shapes, or a picture, the Move tool moves stuff. Now this tool we're going to be using called the lasso. And I'm not going to go over the 3 types right now, but long story short, this is used for tracing objects. We can trace specific parts of our drawing and cut them out. So I'm tracing this hill right now in the background of this beach scene. And then I can do this. I'm creating a new layer out of it. Oh! But wait, I don't have this layer selected. The layer the picture's on. Let me try it again. There. Looks like nothing changed, but if you notice a new layer was added, I can take this hill out and plop it somewhere else. So you can do that with people's faces. You can do that with just objects. Please excuse that. You can do that with objects in the background, move them from one background to another, which we'll be doing in the form of our collage. So yeah, the lasso tool can be used to trace objects. That's a simple yet very, very notable tool in Photoshop, for sure. There are some tools in Photoshop that are virtually identical to those in Illustrator. One of them being the Type tool. Although it's worth noting that there are different kinds of type tools. There's the horizontal and vertical type tool, and then these other two, which I'm not going to get into right now. But vertical type tool allows you to type text vertically. So that's pretty neat. And you can get to the other ones by clicking and holding the button down. Or in Photoshop, you can right-click instead of clicking and holding and reveal the other ones. So you can actually just right-click it to reveal them all. So yeah, we have the type tool, we have the another one. I didn't name all three yet, did I? We have the shape tools such as the rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygon. No star though. Oh well. So we have the basic shape tools as well. We also have the zoom tool. And up here, we have the eyedropper. So some tools are similar. For sure. Okay, so as you can see, I drew a rectangle right here. You saw me recolor it with the paint bucket tool. Now, this does not give you a stroke in Photoshop. It's the background color, which we will probably never make use of. And well, take a look. I double-clicked this blank area right here, and that brought up that menu. You can also go to FX, or Effects, and go to Blending Options. And that brings up this Layer Style menu. Here's how we can get to a stroke. Just click that, and then here's how we can adjust the size of the stroke. So that's how a stroke is implemented in Photoshop. Okay, it's a little bit different than Illustrator. Then we can change the color to whatever we like. That's how it's done. I really don't like that color. It's like mustard brown. Or mustard yellow, I don't even know. Okay. Mustard yellow, yeah. Anyway, so I did that. I drew the shape. I can move it around, I can add a stroke, but there are no points for me to click on to resize it. Well, in order to do that, I have to go into free transform mode. I'll just call it transform mode. So you can either go up to edit and free transform or press Control T. So I press Control T, then the anchor points appear, and I can resize it however I want. It's getting a little slow on me because I'm recording at the same time, but I think it can handle it. And then here's an important step. When we're done resizing, we can't, like, click. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what I did, how I did that. But when we're done resizing, we can just press Enter. I made it a little crooked, but that's okay. The bottom line is, we press Control T to resize or transform, and press Enter when we're done transforming. So when I say transform, I'm just referring to resizing the vast majority of the time. If we want to move objects on separate layers at the same time, but we don't actually want to merge them together, we can right-click and go to Link Layers. So the layers are linked, they move individually, but they're not actually combined together. We can still see them all, and then we can unlink them if we want to. So that's worth noting. It's different than merging, because merging combines them all together into one layer for keeps. So don't actually want to do that. Okay, so I've been undoing my actions a lot. And to do that, I've been doing this, Control Alt and Z. But there's also a Control Z, undo state change. It's kind of weird. Alright, so Photoshop works a little bit differently. You can press Control Z once to go back. But when you press Control Z a second time, as I'm doing, it actually performs the redo action. So you can undo and then you can undo your undo. That's not how any other program I know of works. I think it's actually kind of stupid. But that is why I use Control Alt and Z. So the official term for that is step backward. That performs like a traditional undo. And you can do that several times. There is a limit to how many times you can go back in Photoshop though, so be careful. The limit might only be around 10 or so. So do be careful. And to go forward, I'm using Control Shift and Z. That's the same as in Illustrator. Let's count the number of times I can go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Alright, I counted 19. Strange number, but that's what it seems to be. So yeah, Control Alt and Z. We can just go up here to get a reminder as to how to do it. That performs the step backward action, which is equal to Control Z in like almost every other program. I'm sure there's some reason for it. I can't imagine a good one though, that it was set up like that. Anyway, a couple more things I want to go over. Oh, did I combine those? I don't want to combine those layers anymore. There. Let's just say that I want to have a stroke without a fill. Because, like, there really isn't a way for me to do that here. I can go over to the right, over to where the layers panel is, and I can turn the fill all the way down. See, so right now I'm adjusting the amount of fill. I was going to say opacity of the fill, but I don't want to use that word because it's used up here. I'm adjusting the transparency of the fill. There we go. What happens if I do the same to the opacity though? If I turn the opacity all the way down, the entire thing disappears. Whereas if I turn the fill down, only the fill disappears. That's the difference between adjusting the opacity and the fill. So we're ready to save our project. We can just go to File and Save As. And give our thing a name. And save it as a Photoshop document, or just Photoshop. But if we click this, the format bar, we can save it as, for example, a JPEG. Joint Photographic Experts Group, for the record. You don't need to know that. We can save it as a JPEG image, and then we can view our Photoshop project on any computer we want. That works for like JPEG. It also works for like PNG or BMP, bitmap. So just stick with JPEG, and then you can view your project at home. If you save it and email it to yourself or whatever, you can bring it home. So yeah, it's a nice, easy way. That works for like any program we use, actually. Except JPEG isn't always available. You might have to select another one. So while you can view it on any computer, you can't actually work on it because you need Photoshop to work on a Photoshop project. But you can at least look at it and print it out yourself. So that's pretty neat. And yeah, that is a pretty good intro to Photoshop, in my opinion. I thought it was good. I'm sure you did too. And I look forward to when we can start using this program in just a few weeks.